Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. And if you're new here, settle back, relax, grab a beverage and enjoy the show. And yeah, tonight we're going to talk about some thriller books for horror readers, or maybe it's the other way around. Stay tuned. Okay everyone, so out of all the kind of book genres, kind of subgenres, it's kind of difficult to tell the difference between sometimes what a thriller is, what a horror is, and sometimes the elements of both. The way I see it is that a thriller generally is kind of fast-paced, it's twisty, it's suspenseful, and yeah, a horror is more maybe atmospheric, sometimes it can be fast-paced, and it more centers on fear and anxiety and dread. And those kind of things, and obviously there maybe perhaps some gore, but I'm looking at some books here that maybe have elements of both. They might be classified as horror or thriller, and some people classify them as both. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, first off, just a special mention, and that is 13 Hours by South African author Deon Meyer. Now this is an awesome crime thriller, and it's sort of a police procedural, and it's about this young American tourist and a friend has been killed in the Table Mountains. And yeah, Cape Town, set in Cape Town, South Africa, and it's such a beautiful city. But anyway, this tourist, she's on the run and the killers are after her, and she cannot trust anyone. She has to contact her father in America, who puts pressure on politicians to find her before it's too late. And this whole political intrigue as well. And yeah, there's this detective on the case who's Benny, I think it's Griesling or Griesel, I can't remember, but he's a very interesting character. And just take note that this is like kind of a post-apartheid South Africa, and it's just like the country's trying to find itself, trying to find its feet. It's integrated, and yeah, with so many cultures and languages, this book kind of throws it all together. And it's kind of an interesting reading experience for that on its own. And it's, you'll discover a lot of ways that we swear in South Africa. It's just the way it is. And also lots of slang and stuff. But I think there's actually a section where he explains what the slang means. So it's kind of very interesting. But yeah, anyway, so basically this character, Benny, he's an alcoholic. He's a very complex, flawed character, but he's a brilliant detective. And he's got a haunted past, and yeah, with his family and his wife, and he's got to go after and actually try and solve this case before 13 hours are up. Otherwise the girl's going to die, and it's going to be terrible for the country. Yeah, so it's a brilliant novel, lots of twists and turns, and unlike the other ones on this list, doesn't really have horror elements, but I just thought I'd mention it. It's a great South African writer. Okay, so that's 13 Hours. Oh, and this is the second book in a series with Benny Griesel, and it's just, they can definitely be read as standalones, but it is a long-running series. It's been kind of translated into 13 different languages because author Deon Meyer is Afrikaans speaking, and yeah, very, very popular author, fantastic book. And I actually reviewed another book that I read by him, I think it was in 2023. But do yourselves a favour, check it out. You might enjoy it. Okay, the first horror/thriller book on this list is Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. Now this is awesome psychological horror thriller, and yeah, it's about this psychopathic murderer, crazy killer, who's nicknamed the Tooth Fairy, and he is out to kill entire families. And yeah, he's kind of quite a sick, twisted individual. It's a very interesting book because this former, what's it called, an expert profiler comes out of a retirement to basically help solve this case. And he's damaged goods. He's severely damaged because he had a run-in with Hannibal Lecter. He managed to capture Hannibal Lecter, and he was terribly injured, messed up in the process. So he's not in a good way, and whether he wants to take on the case or not, yeah, it's a struggle for him. But he's an expert, so they call him in because they're desperate. And yeah, it's a fantastic novel, fantastic characters. It's the first part of a series. I'm sure you've all heard of Silence of the Lambs. That's part 2. I would advise starting here. Yeah, so it's just a wonderful, wonderful book, and give it a read. Okay, next up we've got Coma by Robin Cook. I just have to ask you people, are you afraid of hospitals? Have you ever gone to the hospital for like a routine operation that requires you just to get put under, anesthetic, just put under for the operation and you're out again? You ever like kind of worried that maybe, just maybe, you might stay under and never come back? Yeah, this book is pretty terrifying. It's kind of medical chiller. And it's about this woman, Susan, and she's a trainee in this big hospital, and she discovers that some of these patients, after supposedly routine operations, kind of end up in a coma. Like, what the hell's happening here? And she starts to investigate. Unfortunately, she's kind of on her own. So the authorities are not happy with her prying, but she's determined to investigate what the hell's going on. This is very fast paced. It's a page turner. She's an interesting character. I think it's a 70s book, so maybe there might be some interesting 70s stuff happening in there. Yeah, in terms of a man writing a female character, but I didn't really find anything wrong with it. I think he did a good job. But yeah, it's fast paced, and in parts it's freaking terrifying. So yeah, it reads like a thriller, it feels like a horror to me. And that is Coma by Robin Cook. Okay, I've spoken a number of times about how much I've enjoyed this book. That is Intensity by Dean Koontz. It's definitely my favorite Dean Koontz book, and you really should check it out. And it involves two very different characters. It's a cat and mouse game between this woman, China, and she's probably one of my favorite female protagonists in all of fiction. And she comes up against probably the most despicable antagonist in all of fiction, Edgar Voss. And he's just a psychopath. What does he call himself? He calls himself a homicidal adventurer. And yeah, this book is very intense, as the name suggests. And his whole thing is about going around and doing whatever he pleases to anyone. That includes just anything. He'll kill on a whim, rape, anything, just to suck life out of everything. And this book gets very, very dark, and it's very fast paced. It's a page turner. I read it in one sitting, people. It's a page turner, and it starts from the word go, where Edgar Voss is this family's home, and he's going to enter with the intention, and it's very clear from the beginning, of killing everyone in there. And I mean, this is a book my wife enjoyed as well. We absolutely loved this book and read it very, very quickly. Very intense. Do yourselves a favour, check it out. Okay, next up we got Heartsick by Chelsea Cain. I'm holding this particular book here because it's got the first book which I've read, and the second one that I still need to read, which is Sweetheart. And yeah, I know that serial killers seem to come up over and over again on this video tonight. But really, the next one isn't, don't worry. But yeah, if you think about thriller books, psychological thrillers often contain serial killers. Now the books that I'm pointing out here are particularly sick, vile, twisted serial killers. And there's definitely some blood and gore in this particular book, which means there's some seriously horrifying pieces in this book. But let's tell you what it's about. And it's about this detective. And we start off like 2 years before. This detective Charlie, and he's been chasing this serial killers. Now you get serial killers, sick, and then you get vile, twisted, utterly evil serial killers, like Gretchen Vile, who happens to be a female, beautiful, highly intelligent, with a body count in the hundreds, and not all by her own hand. She actually gets other people to do her work for her. Absolutely evil. And she captures Charlie, this detective who's been hunting her for 2 years, and kidnaps him and tortures him, terrible torture scenes, for 10 days. And then mysteriously lets him go and gives herself in. It's like a game for her. And yeah, and 2 years later we find Charlie, he's a broken man, he's reliant on pain pills, and yeah, his wife's left him. And the sad thing is that Charlie kind of has this Stockholm syndrome thing, that he goes to visit Gretchen every Sunday in the jail, behind bars, with the pretense of actually trying to find out some of her victims. But we know that Charlie is sick. And then he's given a new case, and there's another serial killer attacking teenage girls, and yeah, he's on the case. And all I can say is that the book, that actual story of Charlie trying to find the killer who's after these teenage girls, whatever, that is far less interesting than the whole thing with this Gretchen and this Stockholm Syndrome thing going on. That was far more fascinating for me. But still, it's an excellent story, so if you read it, I'm definitely going to read the next one soon. So yeah, that is Heartsick. Okay, and finally, I kind of had to include this book. That is Jaws by Peter Benchley. Now, yeah, both the movie and the book are pretty good, but they're very different. And the book, I'm afraid I enjoy the movie a lot more. I did enjoy the book, but it is the kind of book where you have kind of, yeah, the shark, right, especially at the beginning, and in certain parts you got the shark attack. And a small town, by the way, and I think it's in New York's, well, not in New York, but kind of on the coast somewhere. And yeah, the beach is supposed to be closed, but they kept open because of greed, and so the shark attacks. I'm not going to say anything more about the plot, but the book is very different to the movie, and it's like kind of the parts of it that are more like about the characters, the drama of what's going in this town. And yeah, I remember that some of the parts of the book are very cringy, people. It's a 70s book, and the way he writes women, or about women, is very, very cringy. But yeah, it is still very suspenseful. It's an excellent tale, as Jaws. And yeah, I know that it's responsible for making so many people afraid of the ocean, but unfortunately it's also responsible for a lot of shark deaths. And I think Peter Benchley regretted that, as did Spielberg with the movie, because yeah, people became so afraid of sharks that they just killed more of them. It's freaking ridiculous. But yeah, so yeah, if you've seen the movie, which you probably have, and you hadn't read the book, give it a go. But be warned, it is different, definitely. Okay everyone, so that's my quick little video of thriller recommendations for horror readers, or vice versa. Let me know what you think down in the spaces below. Are there any books that you know about that I should read that are like this, almost like a cross-genre, or blending the two genres? I know there was another book I was going to include, Congo by Michael Crichton. Perhaps I should have done that as well. But a lot of Michael Crichton's books do that as well. They kind of seem to be a kind of blend of thriller and horror. But anyway people, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a conversation down there in the spaces below. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep those pages turning, and cheers.